I printed it 4 to a page, so I have.
Look at you,
Yeah.
all efficient. Need a microscope.
What's that?
Not a microscope. Yeah.
Oh,
What do you find?
I mean, I looked at it. Yeah, the adjustment journal's like
I seen
way down.
Gelwood.
All right, it's 8:30. Call this May 2nd meeting of the Utilities Commission to order. Let the clerk call the roll.
Mr. Salyers,
Here.
Mr. Ball,
Here.
Mr. Reinhardt,
Here?
Ms. Dusenberg, Mr. Gant,
Here.
I hear.
All right, yeah, I hear Jesse's footsteps.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Here now.
We heard the door. Right your heels, so we're good.
All right, let's move on to minutes approval from the April 4th meeting. As the minutes have been distributed, are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as distributed.
So moved.
A second.
Hearing a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. We can, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Nope. Okay, sounds good. All right, moving on to the adjustments from the April Journal.
I will move to approve this to bring it to the table.
All right. And do we have a
Second.
second? All right. Mr. Cook, would you like to come up and discuss any of these? Are they worth discussing?
The only thing that's out of the ordinary is the lean batch, so we went ahead and processed that, the first one for this year in April.
Good.
It's getting much smaller, so we're getting caught up, so that's a good thing.
What's a lean batch?
Lean batch is where we certify overdue balances and send them up to the county to be put on taxes and collected.
Sure.
And why is, I'm just curious because it says return check for the Geldwin.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So they actually stopped payment on a check, 2 payments in one check, and so we had to reverse those charges. So that was an adjustment in the system.
Oh, okay.
So anytime we have a return check, we will adjust it back. If it goes over 500, we put it on the adjustment. Anything over 500, we put on there. So.
Cool.
I was just curious.
Yep.
I didn't know either. Sounds great. All right. Anything else? Clerk may call the roll.
Mr. Salyers,
Yes.
Mr. Ball,
Yes.
Mr. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Ms. Dusenberg,
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. On to new business. We got 301 North Mulberry Street, 38 new water services.
Yeah, so we wanna sort of discuss we have a normal procedure for water taps, and we'd like to vary slightly from that procedure. We have Israel, who's the project manager. So normally we don't deal with a lot of buildings that require state permits. So in the permitting process, the water has to be on, they have to do their inspections, and that probably takes about 45 days. So our customer has requested that we would put in the 38 water permits. They would put those permits in, we would approve those, and they'd like to have delivery of the meters, and then as the tenants move in, they're gonna pay a deposit, and then the company owning the building would complete the payments for the accounts, and then we would have those accounts set up. So it would be a slight change in how we process it. Normally, the account's paid in, or the permit is paid in full, and then it kicks over to the water office.
So for anybody watching, because I know some folks watch this, the 301 North Mulberry Street address is the old middle school, or the grad, as it will now be referred to. So those are the units that's why this is a kind of an unprecedented situation on Mulberry Street.
Right. And so with the lofts downtown, which were 21 meters, we did the same thing, but it was more of an informal, Denny Taylor's more of an informal kind of guy. And then we had some, Brad had brought up, we had an issue in a similar situation where with the, I think it was a bus garage, the new bus garage or the field house. So, they had paid their fees, but then because of the commercial building, they needed the meter, but then it never got programmed. A year later, it had not been activated in the system. So we've had a few snafus, even in this regular procedure with the commercial buildings. So we just wanted to bring this up and talk about this sort of this level. So if you have some.
So my only, same, you just explained, my perspective would be, what's the trigger for us to know when those services need to be started to bill? Because normally, the meter drop is what does that for us.
Yeah.
So if we're not sending the meter guys up to drop, then we will have no idea that billing needs to start.
Well, one of the key components is when we install the meters, we need to have the barcode and read it, or set, I don't know, I typically are you able to set them to 0? They're new.
Well, if they're new, they'll be at 0 when
Yeah.
they're installed, and then we can watch for installed services. But if we don't have an active account, the system doesn't catch the installed services.
Right, so what our, maybe the proposal is that the corporation pays the $75 fee for the permit processing, and we install the meter, set the MXU, read the clock, and then when the person moves in, they're gonna pay a deposit to the corporation, then they'll come in, pay the rest of the permit, and then we'll process it through. Your meter, well, the meter staff would go and double check, hey, this is on, and then you also would have the ability, I don't know, would you have the ability to read these to say, hey, one of these is turning and they haven't been, because they're all gonna have transmitters on them.
So manually, we can go in and run a report and look at that.
Yeah,
So we would catch it eventually once we run that report.
but we may wanna put something like, because they're gonna need to run water for the state to do the inspection, but it should be a small amount, but then we just catch that up with the first bill. So.
Right, and then they're still unable to turn meter valves, right? Because each meter is going to have an individual valve, and that's still restricted to city personnel, right?
Right, so you would have when they're doing a state inspection, you'd need to send out a.
Meter guy.
That would need to be coordinated, the meter guy be there for the state inspection. So it's gonna take some staff effort.
Okay. All right.
And the other option is, so they have, the house meter has been permitted and paid for. So we could give them permission to turn valves and they could move that 39 times, which seems silly.
Right.
And then, because that has an active account.
Right. As long as meter guys are the ones turn valves, then we can keep an eye on it because they'll be able to let us know when timing hits.
That would trigger that somebody's
Yeah.
using that.
Yeah.
Right, and so we just sort of set up a regular stop by and.
And then we'll run that report monthly then to catch that. Okay.
Yeah, I just know that the commercial buildings, we have not done very many of them, and it seems that, we will be doing more because there are other permits in the pipeline for commercial structures that.
Right. Yeah, so we need to come up with a process. I'm not against it. I just want to make sure we have a process that catches it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with Mr. Cook that we need to have a written process for dealing with these rather than sort of on an ad hoc basis. I also don't want it to seem like one developer is getting one deal and a different developer is getting another deal.
Yep.
I'm more concerned about, so we're doing this now, and then here comes Lemon or Rockford or, which are significantly larger projects when it pertains to that.
Rockford's they're permitted and everything's installed. But yeah, we still have Lemon, we still have several other things, other commercial activities pending that
Sure.
you get stuck in this state permit sort of or state inspection loop.
So whose responsibility is it going to be to notify the water department that it's active? Is that,
Right, so then once someone puts their deposit down, then the bill would be paid and we would engineering would complete the permit and it would go through the normal process.
okay,
And then I think also with the state inspection, we would have a double check that, probably every, at least once a month, we would have a special work order for the meter folks, just do a stop in or assist with the state inspections as they click through. And then they could kind of check the clocks, then as a double check, Brad can, once the transmitters are installed, he can run a special report on those meters to make sure they're not.
I just want to, really the catch, the ultimate catch for us is that meter guys are the only guys turning valves.
Yeah.
Because they know to let us know. And they're really good about that. But if they don't know, then that's when we miss it, essentially. So, okay. We can work on a process to get that in.
Sorry, I'm trying to track here. What's the harm in the normal process for them? It's something to do with timing of these inspections? Like would they be forced to incur some additional expense or something like that to follow the normal process? Because they have like a carrying cost of
Right,
monthly
because we
fees.
have a minimum, we have a 400 cubic foot minimum.
Right.
And that accounts for water and sewer. So if they turn on all 38 meters, each one, we would require the minimum. And so they're really, during the state inspection, they have to run a small amount of water.
Sure.
And then they essentially just be turning it back off.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So
they're going to pay for that minimum even though these are unoccupied spaces and they're just languishing for a while. So we're kind of
yeah,
giving them a tolling period here,
right.
basically. to
And
say,
then
like, we're not gonna charge
because the way the building's laid out, the idea of it could be condominiumized, each unit has a water meter.
Uh-huh.
So it's the idea that, right, whoever the renter is going to be part of that account. So
Yeah.
the landlord or the corporation's always going to be on the account,
Yeah.
but then the renter is going to be the one paying the bill. And
Yeah.
so the account setup is kind of that cart before the horse, where we can have it all set up, but then it makes sense that basically the person moving in will, by two steps, pay for
Yeah, for sure.
the capacity fees and all the charges.
Okay.
And just for clarity, this is only for the initial setup, not for vacancy.
Yeah. If they go to vacancy, then it would have, minimum bill would go back to the corporation, and then the corporation would have the rights of any other user to put a 6-month turn off. That, they could pay the vacation, but then that means it's off for 6 months, so.
There's actually not a 6-month period, but if it's not more than 2, then it doesn't save you money.
Yeah, okay, I know we've changed that.
$75 fee to.
Yes.
Yeah, so they could pay the $75 fee to have it turned off, but then if you're not planning to be vacant for a couple months, it doesn't make sense to pay
Yeah.
that, so.
Got it.
That's, we don't know. I mean, the last, the Danbury, they made it to 75% occupancy before the grass even grew. So, we realize there's a demand, so.
Yeah, right.
I don't know how fast, I can't predict that. I left my crystal ball in my wife's office. But I can't predict that, but.
Since we're talking about that property, I was wondering, because I think meter guys were asking, how will they access that on a regular basis? Because this is inside, right?
Yeah, so I believe we can ask Israel. Come on up.
I mean, as far as access goes, there's not to be a main office there. We did run conduits, so all the remotes are getting ran to the outside of the building, so they'll be tied in.
Okay.
And we can probably, I suspect, if need be, we can provide the water department an access key.
It's manned though. There'll be a manager on site.
There will be a manager on site, yeah.
Okay, so we'll be able to contact them to gain access
Yeah.
if we need to. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah, we toured it over the weekend. You know, there's a dedicated closet. So it's not like they're not in each individual unit. There is in the basement where water components used to be is there's a dedicated meter closet. It's a large room that has the fire, you know, all the fire suppression, backflow is all in one area. So as those inspections are required, it's separate and off by itself. I don't know. I'll look at Rob. Do we need a motion?
Well, we need a motion to create I mean, you can instruct Brad to create a policy, or we can create a policy, and then you would have a motion to adopt the policy.
How
once.
about this? How about, as a safety service director, I'll draft something, I'll run it by you and Aaron and Brian, and we'll do that for this instance, and then next month, we'll have a policy that we bring forward to the Utilities Commission moving forward.
Sure, if you guys are okay with that.
Great. I'll make a motion that the Utility Commission authorize Safety Service Director to enter into a utility development agreement with 301 North Mulberry Street, LLC.
I'll second that.
There we go. All right. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All right. Hearing none, clerk may call the roll.
Mr. Sires,
Yes.
Mr. Ball,
Yes.
Mr. Reinhardt,
Yes?
Ms. Busenberg.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. Next month, we'll in that time period, I mean, it's not so pressing, but we'll get something together and review that. That way we have something standing. That way we're not just kind of freewheeling this every time something comes up. All right, next up we got Maria Guillermo, 5 Adamson Street. Insurance claim was denied for sewer backup regarding a WIB or a water embasement. Is Mrs. Guillermo available? No. Is anybody speaking on behalf of Mrs. Guillermo?
Brad, do you know, or Aaron? I know she had called and asked for this to be reviewed. I don't know a lot about it.
We did call, we reached out to her, after we got the request. She didn't mention being here, I don't believe. April, do you remember? I think
No,
April talked to
She
her.
just said that we needed to bring the paperwork to the meeting.
Well, she needs to be here to bring this before the the Utility Commission, and the Utility Commission can't do anything with just paperwork. So she needs to come and talk about why the city needs to deal with it.
So,
Yeah, and I think we had to believe somebody explained to her that, you know, if our insurance denies something, I don't know that we get notice back. I was like, no, I have no way of telling that our insurance said that this was denied.
I see.
I talked to Josh was telling me that he did, I think he talked to the insurance agent and they said that, just because there's water in basement doesn't inherently make the city responsible every time. And that's why they denied. I didn't get the details and why they decided or why they denied. But that was, you know, essentially hearsay. That's what I heard.
Well, we need to reach out to our insurance agent so that we have a good written or some information from them as to why the claim was denied. So whenever the homeowner comes, hopefully next time, that we'll be able to have a rational discussion.
Right.
okay. Well, hearing nothing else on this particular case, we'll move forward. Seeing as how there is no old business, we'll move on to other. Is there anything else that needs to be brought before the Utilities Commission at this time?
Do you want to talk about the shut-offs, how that's changing, Brad? Maybe one last time here.
The other communications. So May 1st was when our new shut-off policies go into place. So we'll see that this month during shut-off process. So we have the 3 main things is that the water will be off for 24 hours. And so we'll do all of our shut-offs on day 1, and then we won't start turn-ons until day 2. Then also, in order to have water turn back on, past due balance has to be paid in full. Prior, we would let them pay just the first month, which would just kind of continue that chain. And then number 3, and I'm drawing a blank now because I didn't bring my paper, was
On Clinton.
Yes, wastewater. So wastewater before was not charged $40 non-payment fees if they were wastewater only. Now those accounts will also be charged a non-payment fee. So those are the major 3 changes coming. We've had that on bills for 4 months now. We've sent it to radio, so we've tried to get as much information out. We've had some response, some people coming in and trying to get things ahead, but there's still quite a few that haven't. So unfortunately, I think there'll be some surprises, but
Have we notified the, I'm sure they received it on their bills too, but the partner agencies that provide assistance, like Interchurch and,
I have not specifically reached out to them and notified them.
So who are those? Interchurch, Red Cross?
We have Interchurch. I don't know that we deal with Red Cross a lot.
Not Red Cross, Salvation Army. Sorry.
Salvation Army.
The other red one.
Yeah, Salvation Army
Caller was right.
is our partner. I don't think there's not a whole lot of funds built up for them yet, so we haven't really had any communication from them lately. And then there's Interchurch, and then sometimes St. Vincent will also
Okay.
step in. And Nahoka.
oh yeah, and
That's
the
right.
that's one I couldn't think of.
Yeah. I have not reached out specifically and told them that was coming. I usually try to take the middle ground and not directly get involved other than handing out information. So,
Yep.
but I can do that if you guys would like me to.
Yeah, they should probably be
Yeah,
aware of that.
because they'll just understand that they're gonna see probably some bigger numbers, but then less often.
Right.
It'd be good to look.
Okay. All right. We'll send something out.
Great, good work.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, if that is all, we'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
A motion.
All right.
Second?
All right. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 All right. All opposed, stay here.
Hey, look at this, we're bringing in the bacon.
There you go. What is this?
This is, permits and rental property.